Good evening everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. It is Tuesday the 12th of March 2024 and tonight we're off back to the International Stadium. It is Gateshead versus Dagenham Redbridge in the National League. So here I'm at the ground and going into this evening's game, Dagenham are currently in 12th place in the National League table, although despite the fact that they do find themselves in the top half of the table, they are actually only 5 points off of the relegation zone and 10 points off of the playoffs, so it just shows you just how absolutely mental it is in this league this year. I think 9th upwards have pretty much pulled clear of the rest of the league, and I think realistically now I'd have to say the current top 9 is the top 9. The only decision is which two will miss out on the playoffs. And speaking of the playoffs, Gateshead are currently in 7th place now in the National League table. Of course, we had the weekend off from the league as we were playing in the FA Trophy, but thankfully we did remain in those playoff spots. One or two teams did do us a little bit of a turn, so we did manage to keep our spot despite the fact we did drop down from 6th into 7th, but at this stage all the teams are on different games, so it is maybe a little bit tricky to tell at the minute who's going to end up where, but as it is tonight, we've actually for once avoided the worst of the weather, and obviously our game is going ahead when that's not the case for a few sides in this league tonight. Obviously I think there's been some pretty bad weather down south in West Yorkshire, but for once we've avoided that, and we will play. I think this will now go down as our game in hand on one or two of the sides, so it's important maybe to take a little bit of initiative tonight, but all the same it is going to be a tricky game. I think one thing with Dagenham is that they have maybe improved a bit since the new year, and they have I think their away form hasn't been too bad this season either, so I'm certainly expecting it to be a tougher game than what it was last year when they came up here, when let's be honest, they came up and essentially rolled over for us. That's not going to be the case tonight. I mean, especially they'll obviously know that despite the fact they are quite high up in the table, far from safe, and they'll want to maybe give themselves a bit more daylight with that. I mean, I think they'll be okay anyway. I think they've got I think they've got a better team than some of what's below them, and yeah, I think in any case there is probably too many teams between them and the bottom 4 anyway for it to be a massive sort of worry. But for us, obviously attentions do now turn back to league after Saturday's FA Trophy exploit, so we've got to put that competition to one side for a few weeks now really. Just forget about Macclesfield, forget about semi-finals, forget about potential, what we want to do in terms of travelling down to Wembley and what have you if we get there. Right now it is about the league, and hopefully by the end of the night we'll have got back to winning ways in the league after last Tuesday's defeat, and hopefully as well have moved up a couple of places. Let's head into the International Stadium and find out how it all unfolds. So the team's warming up at Dagenham, getting ready in this half. I think they're going to be in their red and blue home strip this evening. Anyway, Gateshead are getting ready just here, of course, going to be in the white and black. Anyway, I'll see you when the players are coming out of the tunnel and ready to start the match.
lads! Get the box! The heat! Loose!
Comedian right here.
Running in fucking blue surface cement. 1-0.
Cancelo scored.
Come on, man!
Should be 1-0 down there.
We're not playing tennis in half, bloody hell!
Half-time gets a 0, Dagenham Redbridge 0. Just lacking a bit of cutting edge above all else at the minute. They've had a few shots, I mean, especially early on in the game, but nothing really to write home about. Dagenham, another team that are coming here and applying the low block and applying it well, but you'd have to say that they've probably had the best chances of the game. I think really we're lucky that we're not 1-0 down when obviously the lads just cut inside. Then they thinking, yeah, you're fearing the worst at that point, but thankfully from our perspective he's gone and blasted it over the bar. It's just been a bit of a frustrating game above all else just now. Can't imagine if you're a neutral at this game it's particularly exciting to watch, but there is another 45 minutes. I think maybe try one or two new things, like maybe change it up system wise a little bit in the second half, maybe make one or two changes, see if that makes a difference. But yeah, it's just again at home frustrating above all else.
Shoot! Too easy! Oh man! Oh man! Finger out, man! He is absolutely useless. seconds. Post! Post! 10.
Come on! Get in! Come on! Get in!
That's all we've needed. That is all we've needed all night. Come on! Go on! 6-1.
York can beat 6-1.
Six hit 97.6, including 34 away supporters. Thank you,
We're in out of time, but the fourth's not put his board up. Clown.
Did you reckon? 5.
It was a bit late. 4 minutes of added time. Jesus Christ. Fine margins.
I didn't realise you were behind us. I wouldn't have been swearing so much time.
See it out, man. Hey!
It's got to be over 36 seconds up, man.
Come on. Come on, Monty. Come on! Get in! Not a classic, but I'll take it. Full-time Gateshead 1, Dagenham Redbridge 0. Not a classic, but 3 points is 3 points. Not going to lie, it does feel kind of nice that obviously another team have come up and applied a low block, but this time we've been able to do something about it. Obviously another goal for Dagenham Brown, which will obviously take all the claims, but for me you've got to give a lot of credit to Ben Werman for his contribution for that goal, because if he did a lot of hard work down that left hand side to and obviously put it across for Dage, who was in the right place at the right time, and yeah, he's really like on fire now, isn't he? Like what a find that was. As I said on Saturday, I'm just a bit worried that Derby are watching and may pull the trigger at any given point, but hopefully that doesn't happen. I think if from Dagenham's point of view tonight, they may think that they were maybe worth a point based on the chances, and they had some quite good ones in the second half, but then again I thought James Montgomery had quite a good game tonight. He's been under fire a little bit of late. He's made a few maybe unorthodox mistakes in recent games, but I thought, you know, he was really solid tonight. It was a scrappy game of football. Let's be honest. I think at times it was maybe a little bit tricky for either side to like properly get a foothold into the game. I think I think our like chances, you can't really say we had many like good chances tonight. I think the best one other than the goal was possibly even when Ed Francis struck that free kick, and I think like most people thought he'd just scored an absolute Ronaldo-esque screamer, but it unfortunately did hit the side netting, and in added time Dagenham piled on the pressure a bit, had a chance towards the end of the game, but thankfully we were able to see the game out, and we are going home obviously happy that we have got 3 points, and now we move on to Saturday away to Ebbsfleet, which is going to be a tricky game. Obviously they're fighting for their lives at the minute. Obviously it's away from home, and then as I've said numerous times, we do seem to be that bit better away from home than what we are on our own ground. And speaking of that, when teams maybe do apply the low block a little bit, when we're away, like, you do still feel as though a goal is going to come at some point, whereas at home you maybe don't always get that. You think the Hereford game in the FA Trophy was probably the best example of that, and that game tonight reminded me a bit of that game where obviously the opposition did have chances, but we just maybe struggled to break them down a little bit at times, but we got there in the end, and that is the most important thing. And it's a really big result that tonight. Obviously, as I said before the game, obviously that Halifax versus Oldham game had been called off, and obviously two playoff rivals, like one of them was going to drop points anyway, but obviously once that game was called off, it was us playing our game in hand on Halifax, and I think we've still got one left on Oldham, but yeah, all the same, as I say, it's about the points on the boards than it is the games in hand. And obviously on the subject of points, we have now surpassed last season's points total. Granted, obviously last season we did have that 1 point deduction, but it's progress, and obviously from this point you would expect anyway that we will finish. We will finish with more points than what we would have got without that 1 point deduction anyway. So yeah, fingers crossed. It's still the end of the season. It's so near, yet still pretty far away. But on a personal note, obviously does sort of feel pretty good to get that game on tonight. I'm not going to lie, I had a little bit of a naff day, and everyone's feeling too great coming to the game, but we've won, so maybe cheer me up a little bit. But that is that for this video, and I'll be back on Saturday with that Ebbsfleet United versus Gateshead game. And it's a big weekend coming up for the channel, and I'll explain more at the end of that video on Saturday. But until then, take care, cheers for watching, see you later.